This is Philip Tyrone with 720 System Strategies here with David Babel. And we're talking about how experienced attorneys use NACBA to keep their practice growing and thriving. And David, thanks for being here. You've been attorney for how many years?
35 years.
And how many years have you been going to NACBA? And by the way, let me clarify. NACBA is the National Association of Consumer Bankruptcy Attorneys. They're advocates that focus on passing good bankruptcy law and at the same time bring bankruptcy attorneys together to help improve their practice. Okay, you've been coming to NACBAs for how many years?
29 years. Started
29.
in 29. Started in 1996 in San Antonio. And someone would say, well, why did you do that? Well, initially, I didn't know anything about NACBA. Frankly, I needed CLE credits. So I
Yeah.
said, wow, bankruptcy, San Antonio. All right, great place. Interesting basketball team, or whatever. So I went there without knowing anyone, without knowing anything. And lo and behold, I saw a group of capable, enthusiastic, competent, knowledgeable attorneys giving seminars on all kinds of particular subdivisions of bankruptcy. And from there, I realized I kid that somehow I have a postdoctorate in bankruptcy from the University of NACBA, because pretty much everything that I began to understand on a higher level, it originated from these seminars.
I hear all the time, I'm too busy to spend 3 days. I don't want to spend the money. Oh my gosh, it's going to cost me $5,000 by the time I fly there and all that stuff.
Okay, so looking particularly at your own self-interest, there's so many things that you can benefit. Besides, you can say, oh, yeah, knowledgeable, I can read up on that. But number one, I grew my practice because of the vendors who were there.
Mhm.
And I introduced a variety of marketing techniques that exist today. So that's number one. Number two, I would come away with one, two, or three new ideas
Mhm.
every single convention. And by the way, they also have workshops, but that's a whole other story. That's an add-on to this. And whatever I came away with not only enhanced me personally, enhanced the office personally, and advanced my practice. So the one area that I did not do any marketing was social media. Now
Mhm.
I've done newspapers, I've done Verizon's half-page double trucks, you name it. I've done radio, I've done TV for a dozen years. Last year, I decided I need to expand into social media. And I didn't even know anyone there.
Mhm.
And lo and behold, the first day I walked down the corridor and I literally bumped into Phil
Yeah, I remember.
telling me I'm waiting for the last 10 years for you to really stop by and take an interest.
No, I
So the
because
time,
really for everyone to know, I've seen David at those at NACMAs for so long, but given us the time of day,
right,
like,
no time of the day.
but it's okay.
And
It all
I was independent because I was doing pretty well. Then came COVID, and we all know what that did.
yeah.
So I just want to tell you of the other intangibles when you go to NACBA. You're supporting an organization, of course, that fights for your clients, for your consumers,
Yeah,
and you have access, amazing access to real professionals when there's a need. There's times that actually I'm not so sure about this.
yeah,
Whether you do it
absolutely.
on a listserv, whether you speak
Absolutely.
to people at the seminars, and the other thing is in the breaks. I call it the hallway knowledge. You ask, by the way, you meet this one. Oh, really? You do it that way? It's amazing what you can learn and bring into your practice to ultimately grow your practice intellectually, professionally, and financially.
Yeah.
Um, so I speak to other attorneys. I have relationship with them over years. Sometimes you even get business. I'm a New York attorney, so I've developed friends and colleagues. I help them. They help me. I feel that I can be at the top of my game when I leave a NACBA conference because there's not going to be anything new that I'm not aware of when clients start to call.
Yeah.
And if I don't know it, I have resources to turn to. How do you put that into a monetary
Abs
aspect
no,
when
abs
your practice is going to grow? So,
David, absolutely. And let me just jump in here for a second.
sure.
One is you talk about the breaks in between sessions. The nice thing about it, you're dealing with debtor attorneys from New York, from New Mexico, from California. There's not this feeling of competition. Like it's just, it doesn't, that's not the air of NACBA. It's a community. It's a feeling of supporting each other. Hey, what are you doing there? Let's share information. Wouldn't you agree with that? Like
Absolutely. It's
that's,
even within New York attorneys who are competitors of mine.
they're sharing. Right.
They're sharing, or we're going to go out to a baseball game together. Forget about talking about bankruptcy.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
so
I mean,
um,
yeah, you're right, because the NACBA board has done very well in creating the space of like, hey, let's share, let's learn. We're all there to learn. We're all there to share.
just like in life and in business, there is no such thing as status quo.
Yeah.
You either progress or you regress.
Yeah.
And if you take a position, I've done it, you're regressing
Yeah.
because you're falling behind. Someone else is going to grab the mantle and take business from you if you're looking in strictly business and monetary. So the investment, yes, it does cost a certain amount of money to do these events, but think about where you spend other monies and
Yeah.
where you could probably not do that into something that can grow your practice in every sense of the word, personally, professionally, and financially. So I have I have nothing to come here to tell you about NACBA. I'm not an official. I'm not
No,
on the
no,
board.
no.
I am
There's
just Phil asked me, and I jumped and I said, of course.
Well, I mean, because I knew you're a NACBA legend when it comes to attendees. Now, let me ask you, David, another thing. You talked about noticing things and going to the vendor hall.
Yes,
The reality is you want to be in the leading pool of bankruptcy attorneys.
cutting
What's
edge.
working, cutting edge. You want to be on the cutting edge because the reality is, if not, your competition is, and they're going to take bankruptcy away from you. There's a limited amount of filings in every district. And by David walking the halls, by these attorneys I see on our calls, I mean right here, James Howson, Marty Berger, Matt Fry, Robert Adams, Sean DeVries. These are people, they're walking the halls and they're saying what's working, what's not working.
The other thing is talking about ideas and making money. Years ago, I never knew that anyone did commercials for bankruptcy. And I heard this guy, I forgot his name, from Buffalo. He did all this stuff. And look, videos, it's commercials, not for everyone. But the point is, you find your own way. What else can you do? So I went up, created a commercial. All right. So I wouldn't even come up with that thinking unless I was at NACBA.
Yeah. And one other thing I want to point about NACBA there as you mentioned it, a huge resource. They have listservs for attorneys to ask questions, and there's givers on NACBA. They just feed you. Two, there's constantly putting together roundtables for discussions. Ed Bolts just invited me. Ed Bolts, former president of NACBA, runs the law office of John Orcutt with John Orcutt in North Carolina. He just invited me to a roundtable to discuss Chapter 7 fees because we need to raise the prices with inflation and everything that's happening. We need to make sure our prices are going up. John Orcutt and I did a presentation last year on how to increase your Chapter 13 no-look fees. This is just golden. Then the small fee you pay NACBA every year, which is like a few $100 a year, right? I mean, do you know what is the NACBA fee? It's like $5.95 or something like that.
Yeah, if you have less than 250 cases, 500 and change or something like
Okay,
that.
so it's 500. I mean, and it's tax deductible, and you're going to make your money back. And we hope to see you in Los Angeles in at the end of April. there because we'll be there. I know David will be there. And David, thank you for joining. This is exactly what we wanted. We wanted a perspective from someone who's been
So
going for
the
that
only
long.
thing I would want to say at the end, I'd
Tell me.
appreciate any feedback from anyone who's there. Maybe they have a question, they're not a member or whatever that they, feel free to ask. It now's your time to figure, is this something for me? What is it that I'm missing?
Perfect.